a bacchanal, it's madness in the capital. So I feel like I'm running tongue again. Jump and shake the ground again. We're with all my friends and them. No place like...
Yes, welcome back to this Tuesday's edition of the SportsMax Zone. Grab your sticks because we turn our attention to hockey. Trinidad and Tobago's hockey has been gathering some significant momentum this year after the nation's men's team advanced to the final of the Indoor Pan Am Hockey Cup that was held in Calgary, Canada, just a couple of months after they contested the Hockey Fives World Cup in Oman. The Soca Stickmen would end last weekend's Pan Am tournament as silver medalists after losing out to the undefeated Argentina 5-2 in the final. TNT had already punched their Indoor World Cup ticket via a 5-4 win Friday afternoon over the USA in the semi-finals, making this their third Indoor World Cup qualification. They had also featured in the 2007 and 2018 editions. A huge boost also for the custodian, Ron Alexander, who was crowned goalkeeper of the tournament for his exceptional display between the posts. It's a pleasure to have on the show via Zoom the man who is at the helm of TNT's current hockey prominence, the head coach of the men's team, the man with Ian Bishop's middle name, Raphael Gauvin. Raphael, welcome to the SportsMax Zone. It's great to have you on our show today.
Yeah, same here. Thanks a lot. Evening, everyone. I got some goosebumps just watching that video clip over again.
Yeah, well, you would have to. You know what, Raphael? I've been in this business for quite a while, and from I knew about sport, Argentina had always been one of the world's best teams. They were former world #1. They have always been a top 10 in the world. They were Olympic champions in Rio in 2016. At what point did Trinidad and Tobago begin rubbing shoulders with these big boys?
No, we have a very vibrant indoor circuit down here. You know, just after the pandemic, however, it took a little dip, and we never got started in that arena again. We had a couple of clubs throwing their own personal tournaments that kept the boys sharp, you know. But basically, the boys have been in a very vibrant outdoor circuit for the last couple of years under Coach Cowie and Kwan Chan. So, you know, they're just transferred into this this arena of indoor, which we knew was coming, but we weren't sure because of the busy circuit they had in 2024 with Oman and Muscat on the cards. So while we were at an indoor tournament in January, the boys were saying, Rafi, what's going on? You know, is there any indoor tournaments? Are we going to participate in Calgary? But at that stage, we really couldn't say because the focus was on the outdoor squad heading to the Indoor Fives World Cup in Oman.
So can you talk to us briefly about the skill set required for the indoors? Because hockey is hockey, yes, but you know, I know that there is a very popular indoor hockey tournament staged in Guyana annually, and the TNT usually sends a couple of club teams there. What are the skill sets based on variation that would be required for the indoor game as opposed to the outdoor one?
Well, you know, our Caribbean brand is always full of skill, and I think one of my main focus is that we never hold that back. You know, I love skill. I want our boys. That's in our Caribbean DNA. You know, so yes, when we go to Guyana, this annual tournament, very nice tournament for the Caribbean teams to come and participate is I believe is around November every year, averaging around November every year. We get a few clubs from Trinidad heading across there, and you know, we just want to showcase ourselves and our talent and just promote Trinidad's hockey. And I mean, skill for skill. When you as you spoke about Argentina, the last qualifiers that Trinidad went to would have been back in 2017 in exactly Guyana, and we basically demolished Argentina both games that we played them. And skill for skill, yeah, they were skillful, but our fellas were fit and they were very skillful. And there's absolutely no way that there's no answer for that.
Can you?
My view.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I understand that the Caribbean culture is one of flair and artistry in whatever sport that we're involved with. I know that the World Cup dates and venue, well, neither has been confirmed yet, but is there a ballpark, you know, time when this may happen? Would it be summer? Will it be later this year? Will it be
In,
next year?
in Calgary, I had a conversation with one of the hierarchies, and Path, and they were saying, yes, it'll definitely be in Europe, but they were supposed to announce the date while we were up there, but that never happened. And we are actually thinking it'll be early 2025 in Europe. We're
Yeah.
just not sure as yet.
Right, and coach, I'd love for you to share with us, you know, what it is like being the coach of this bunch of players that continue to dominate and continue to make history.
To me, I'm elated to be the coach. I'm elated that when I'm asked to represent my country in this aspect of the game, I'm all for it. My thing is that we have a quality bunch of fellas that is in a busy circuit despite pandemic and despite all the challenges that we have back home with facilities and so on. But our talent is beyond, and I think the benefits of this occurs from we have a vibrant coaching academies around the country that has taken place right now. So we are prepping and we are getting ready for when our hockey board when they decide to start back and get hockey back flowing as it used to be in the past. We have a bunch of youngsters waiting to come in and enjoy the sport. So we have a flow, we have some continuity, you know?
Yeah, and that is always so important. But then it leads me to my next question about sponsorship and funding. Is it a difficult process where hockey is concerned?
I'll have to say funding from clubs it's tough because most of the clubs, like if these same tournaments in Guyana and abroad, for our clubs, they will have to fundraise themselves. But for the national team, we have never been without funding. Most of our tournaments that we go to, Pan Am Games, CAC Games, Commonwealth Games, once we qualify, the various governments have backed us right through.
Yeah, and how much easier does that make your job? Because for you to say that, you know, the government has always backed you and supported you, I think for me, that's music to my ears. Because most times when I interview people on this show, one of the problems they have is getting support from their government. So for me, that's great, and big up to, of course, the Trinidad and Tobago government. You said previous administrations also supported you. That must make your job easier, that you can focus on what you have to do and not worry about trying to beg this one and that one for money.
Yeah, most of the times I could say that back in 2017 when we qualified in Guyana and we had to go to Germany for the World Cup, Daryl Smith was the minister then, and he looked after us pretty well, you know. We got to Holland for a pre-tour. We were able to spend probably a week in Holland, prepping and going to different various arenas to play top clubs in Holland. And then we transferred into Germany, into competition, and the boys were sharp and ready. So I have to say kudos to Daryl Smith and his crew and his government. And yeah, and we've been backed. We've been backed. My only peeve is that, you know, we have a lot of players that they work for the police, they work for the army, they work for the various, so time off is always a problem, and getting them to training on time, you know, it takes a bit of management intervention to get these boys out to training.
Yeah.
As much as the coach would need them to be there, you know?
Yeah, it's always difficult battling a full-time job and, of course, playing a national sport. You spoke about, you know, talent, and I have to ask about Ron Alexander. He was named, of course, the most valuable player for the tournament, goalkeeper of the tournament. Talk to us about him and what makes him so special.
To me, and what makes him so special, he is brilliant in what he does. He reads the game so well. In 2017, he was definitely one of our standout players on his squad, and we thought that he would be definitely the MVP of that tournament, you know. So when the tournament was finished in Calgary, after the USA game, I call him number one because he is my number one, right? So I said, number one, you know, that's it. You've done your part. You could rest now, you know. And it's not a surprise that when a prize giving took place that we heard his name being called for the MVP goalkeeper of the tournament. We were all so happy for him, you know. I think tears came to his eyes then too as well.
Yeah, Raphael, you just mentioned earlier on the Hockey Fives coaching staff, Darren Cowie and Dwayne Kwan Chan, and the sort of work that they did with the Hockey Fives. Can you talk a little bit more about, you know, the national coaching setup and how qualified you coaches are in getting TNT to be, you know, globally competitive?
Well, when you look at our coaches back in Trinidad, we have coaching certificates, but we don't have it on a regular basis. We have like level 2, we have level 1, we have certain coaches come from abroad to have little stints when they're tournaments, when we host tournaments in Trinidad and Tobago. Like I've been to like high performance courses already in the past with Gene Muller from Ireland and so on. So, but the bulk of our coaching staff basically are ex-national players, you know, who have been through the wars with Trinidad and Tobago. And certainly Dwayne and Darren have been through the wars with Trinidad and Tobago on the international scene. And they have also been playing in England under Quan Brown, who's our former captain of Trinidad and Tobago, and basically he's our Brian Lara of hockey, you know. So our boys have that exposure, and they've brought that back into the mix here in local hockey, mixing it with our skill sets, with our mindset, with our mentality, you know, mixing that type of skill with passing abilities and ensuring that we play a beautiful brand.
Yeah, you mentioned Quan Wayne, and I spoke about him earlier on as well, because I gather that he has done a lot of work, Raphael, in opening up avenues for some of your players to get opportunities to play in Europe and so on. I know that if you mention Quan Brown's name in British hockey right now, he's so revered that, you know, people have a great deal of respect for him and the work that he has done, both as a player and now coaching and trying to develop players and so on. So I gather that he has done a lot in creating avenues for talented players in TNT to get opportunities in Europe.
We are still reaping the benefits of his work with past players opening up avenues to England. He's actually still doing it with one of the McConnell brothers right now. So he's continued that DNA in his blood, that Trinidad and Tobago DNA in his blood. He's total Trinidad and Tobago, and he continues to open avenues and seek young national players to England to give them that exposure. And we have actually still reaping the benefits of the past players that he took up to England many years ago. So all credit to him.
Yeah, and Raphael, can you talk quickly about what your preparation will be like? Because as we mentioned before, it is still undecided when the tournament will be, that World Cup indoor, probably early in 2025 in Europe. But what do you anticipate will be your preparation program like? Your training and probable warm-up matches against globally competitive teams to get you sharp?
We've been talking about that for the last couple of days, you know, was our plan. You know, we knew Calgary was going to be a tough one because we had like 17 odd days of training. I mean, actual odd days of stick and ball. And I had to cram fitness into that. And you know, it was basically a short circuit, and we knew up front that this was going to happen. But now thinking about the World Cup now and preparation for next year, we'll have to assess the whole situation and await what's our plans with indoor, what's our plans with hockey in Trinidad and Tobago, because the mere fact that this tournament could be February next year, I believe there's an outdoor challenge, Pan Am challenge, that Trinidad has to attend somewhere around September. So when we throw that into the mix now, and those boys go to outdoor, they're going to start training soon for that tournament. We're almost in April already, and that tournament is in September, I believe in Peru. So we're going to have to really mix the outdoor into the indoor circuit, and as soon as those dates come to us when they'll be hosting the World Cup, where and when, I'll have to sit down with my people and really plot that whole training schedule.
Yeah. Raphael, it's been a pleasure talking to you here on the SportsMax Zone. You can please pass on or congratulations from the SportsMax Zone to your entire team, your coaching staff, and the players. We wish you the best in the build-up and all the best to the Indoor World Cup when the tournament is set and we know when it's going to be, where it's going to be, and when TNT will be traveling. Congrats again, Rafael.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is a big story here, Mariah. I've always had a lot of respect for TNT's hockey and the high quality that they play, and great to see them qualifying for the Indoor World Cup.
You were so happy on the Friday. I remember you couldn't wait to start the show with it. You're a real Trini.
I'm a Caribbean person. I like quality, so wherever the quality is,
You're there.
I am there, and I'll big them up.
Well, that means you'll have to be in Trinidad all the time because top quality.
I hear you, Ramrak. We go to break now. We'll be back in a moment.